It's a network of design schools around the world. So we are really eager to have this discussion together with you today, because we know that there are also design practitioners in social innovation, people working in cities. So we are really interested to have this conversation together. So I would like now the floor to Ezio Manzini. He will present the whole content actually of the discussion today, and afterwards we will have a very brief philosophical reflection and then a panel. We have some guests coming from outside the conference that we invited to animate the discussion together, and then we will open the discussion to whole the public. So I leave the floor to Ezio Manzini.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Maybe I don't need the microphone. You tell me if it's needed.
Sorry.
No. So the idea of the philosophy talk is the following. Our network is based on design and action research. So it's mainly a research and reflection done on action. But very frequently, of course, this kind of research needs for some more in-depth discussion. So we decided to have this kind of format in which we move from some experiences that we've done, and we try to start at least some more in-depth thinking. And in a kind of, well, in some way, the way in which we present it also today, I represent more the action research, and Virginia, that is the philosopher, represent more the kind of philosophic reflection on that. So, well, I can start afterward when the PowerPoint will arrive. I don't know why it's so difficult. The issue, as you know, here is about democracy. And the issue is about talking about democracy in this context, and also for what regards DESIS when we work, is even how social innovation can give some help in regenerating democracy in the moment in which democracy is rather in crisis, as you know. So by a certain point of view, I think that we need to, as we said, we have a campaign that is called Stand Up for Democracy. That means to try to have a voice and to try to say something. Is it working now? Yeah, sure. Okay, fantastic. And it works? Yes? So on one side, there is some political action to be done, and we try to do it, organizing discussion, making something happen. But at the same time, there is also a kind of reflection about this crisis, and try to understand if, in our case, design, and I will say now social innovation, can help in a kind of rethinking, regenerating democracy. So this is the topic of today. Of course, it's a very huge issue, and I will be very short, if not on the point that I would like to try to focus our discussion. Democracy, as you know, it is a term that its value is exactly that it's a very complex term that has many different meanings, many different words that are used when we talk about democracy. But in general, the discussion about democracy is a kind of tension in between the search for freedom, individual freedom, and the search for equality. And somebody says, and I agree, that this tension, because it is a tension, in some way there is a trade-off in between freedom and equality, is the value of democracy. Exactly because, as has been said also in the last sentence of Lord, takes together two things that are in oppositions. And this balancing between the two is why this term, in my view, is still so rich and so important. But democracy is also an issue about power, and I will spend some word on this. And democracy is an issue about the opinions and how these opinions are built. So we will see. So let's start from power. It's not exactly the center of our discussion today, but I think that we cannot talk about democracy if not starting by the fact that democracy is about, as the word says, the power of the people, the demos and the power of the demos. And therefore, as we said, it should be the government by the people to the people. So if we have a crisis of democracy, I think that the most basic issue of this crisis is that we have the impression that we have not anything and something to discuss, because there are some mechanisms that take all the decisions. So it's not the specific topic of our discussion today, but whatever we say about democracy, we have to know that at the basis, all the debate, all the conversation that done democracy should at a certain point be able to take some decisions and to have the power to take this decision. So in my view, this is really the very big issue about the crisis of democracy. Who takes the decision and where? And this is one big topic. But there is another topic that is about opinion that is equally very big and very highly discussed in this time, and is if democracy is the possibility of different ideas to confrontate and to compete or to collaborate, yes, okay, fantastic. But where these ideas come from, where we build our ideas, our opinions. And traditionally, the opinions, always, are built in conversations. So democracy is about conversations. How people make conversation that generate some shared view, and this shared view can compete in the democratic arena. So the core of the functioning of democracy is a process that starts from how our opinions are built, and afterward all the democratic mechanisms that permit to different opinions to compete and afterward to take some decisions. In the past, the opinions were personal but related to big structure, to big narrative. Could be the church, could be the parties, could be the trade unions, could be whatever, but there was big organization that what they were, we was in touch, and we generate opinion that afterward compete, and we voted for somebody that was representing our opinion. As you know, today something is changing, because from this conversation, as we always had, we are in a condition in which the disintermediation that technology brings is such that create a kind of crisis of all the intermediate organizations. And therefore, we have the possibility to have direct interaction in between people, and the way in which we form our opinion is a way that takes place in a much more fluid environment. So how we create opportunity for people to make their own mind. And this is, of course, a big issue for democracy, because given that the old arenas are disappearing, how we can build new arenas, considering that the new arenas have to be hybrid arenas, because we live in a world that is not only the physical world that now that we are face to face, but it's also all what you know very well, the possibility for the good and for the bad given by the digital technologies and the new media. So there is a big issue of crisis about the means. Everything that we can name when we talk about democracy in practice has been built in the last century, especially in the second part of the last century, in the environment of communication that was the one of the last century. Given that everything is changing so much, and I am not to tell it to you, we have to rethink how it is. The problem, in my view, and this is very personal, I will not claim that it is for the DESIS position, is that in the moment in which we say disintermediation, it's coming immediately in our mind, saying, okay, there is a very simple idea of democracy, that is, we are back to the direct democracy, as in the ancient Athens. But unfortunately, I will challenge you with this issue, and afterward maybe we can discuss afterwards. The example of direct digital democracy that we have until now, at least the one that I see in Italy, are really miserable. And why they are? Not only because the technology is not enough good, because they undervalue the issue of where you build your ideas. Because if you have the technical possibility to say every day what you think about everything, that technically is possible, what you think about it. So, and the idea should emerge from confrontation, from debate, etc. So the problem of this kind of digital democracy is that forget that it's not only an issue about voting, it's an issue about having an arena of discussion in which opinion can emerge, and afterwards some mechanism can compare and bring them up. So both the issue about power and the issue about means can be compared with what social innovation tells us. This is a very privileged place because you are all working with social innovation, and we had a fantastic presentation this morning that tried to summarize what social innovation tells us. And I think that the whole debate about democracy, and there are so many different lines that should be developed, there is something that is our hypothesis, but I imagine that is also your hypothesis, that says in the new age of where this kind of direct communication happens, we have to rethink, in particular, what is called the participatory democracy. So there are many democracies, many ways to consider democracy that can coexist. One of them is the participatory democracy. And the issue is, the challenge is how we can update what has been the participatory democracy as it has been in the last century in the new context. Try to avoid the risk and the traps, and try to use at best the new possibilities. And social innovation, in my view, tells us something. So, of course, you know what is participatory democracy. It's the government based on the inclusion of people taking decisions on many different things. The question that we say is, in the new context, is why people participate. So what is the motivation that brings people to use their own time, attention, energy to participate to this kind of democracy? And traditionally, I think that you could share the idea that has been based on a sense of duty. A duty in the civic terms, so a kind of civic duty. So we do it because it's useful for me, for the community in which I am, and so it's good that I try to do something. So all the literature talking about the participation in the past has been based on this idea. So people should do it because it's correct, because it's right. So in some way it was a kind of ideological motivation. It's right to do like this. It's the idea that it's right to participate and they should participate. The people participate to a deliberative process, means a process in which you take decisions. And this process to take decisions, the democratic process to take decisions, is of course long and tiring. It has to put in the budget of the time of people. It's very potentially tiring. And at the same time, given that the people that take decisions are not the ones that do it, so the arena of the group that they discuss, take a decision, make a deliverable, and after this is given to the one institution that have the role and the responsibility to do it. What happened is that there is a gap between the two, and I've lost something, but in any case, the issue that people discover that is long, tiring, and very often disappointing, because many things that are decided are not done, and exactly because there is nothing to decide, or is said that there is nothing to decide. So the general crisis of democracy is going also to the participatory democracy. And the challenge here is if we can in some way regenerate the participatory democracy, moving from what we learned in social innovation. And this means also if we can update the sense of civil duty. And this is the hypothesis that the social innovation could give a lot. So it has been said today in a much more elaborate way. I synthesize the idea why people participate to all the different groups that we are talking today. So I don't know if it is the same for 100%, but all the ones that I know, but as based on participation, that have to get some result that people can recognize. And in getting this result, you collaborate, and collaborating you create some relational value, and creating some relational value, all together we generate a social commons. There is a society that is capable to collaborate and to share some basic vision. So the strength of what I know about social innovation is people doing something because they want to get something, and at the same time they want to get it in a certain way, that means collaborating, that permit to get a result that if you was alone you could not get. If we do it together, we can have better results, and at the same time, exactly because we collaborate, we create also social value. And I think that this is very important because this can be seen through collaborating as a new civic sense. So the new civic sense is less a duty than before. It's not only ideological, you have to do it because it's right. You do it because you find your own balance in between what you get and getting it in this way, what are the advantages for the overall society. So I think that this is really the strength of what we learn from our experience in social innovation that could be used and seen as something that catalyzes a new idea of participatory democracy. And in general, people do it because they like to see things happen. And this means that there is not a traditional separation in between who discuss what to do and who do it. Normally, in our activities, who discuss what to do are the same that do it. And given that they are the same, it means that in the group, there has to be the power of doing what you decide. So the two implications of this way of doing is there is no separation in between deciding what you do and doing it. And there is no separation, and there is a coherence in between who are the ones that take decisions and what this group can practically do. For instance, a group of citizens can decide to start a community garden here. And they can do as a guerrilla gardening without asking anything to anybody. So in this case, the group decide to do something, in this case also taking some risk, and they imagine to do it. And sometimes they do it. Other cases, you can start the same community, the same kind of a community garden, starting from the beginning, having a group that includes the citizen and somebody of the local authorities. So the group has the possibility to take this decision. So this, in my view, is one of the main characters. And this character means, in my wording, project. Because by definition, a project is not only an idea of something you like to have or to do, but something that you imagine that should be done, but at the same time, you know that you have the possibility to do it. So it's exactly a project because you can do it. So in some way, to be a little bit poetic, it's a dream, but it's not only a dream. It's a dream that can be, in some way, implemented. And therefore, you have to know what are your power. And therefore, in some way, you bring the power to make something that is what you decide.
There's a screen now.
On the left. Nice.